Hello and welcome to the JTrain Podcast. It's a Chit Chat Wednesday, and today's guest is Devon Walker. I knew of Devon. I've seen him on SNL. He's super funny. We'd never met. So this is us meeting for the first time and talking comedy. He just come from doing a show at Northwestern, so we talk a little bit about the college stand-up circuit and those gigs and what they're like, and it was just really cool to talk to another comedian. I've talked about this on this show before, but when I meet a comedian who is doing stand-up and working hard at it, I can tell right away, and it's like I've known them forever. And I think that's how I felt walking away. I'm sitting, after this interview, that's kind of how I felt. And it was cool to hear a little bit about SNL and being on that show, but also to hear what it's like to have a master's degree and do comedy and how people react to that. So enjoy today's episode. Boom. Hello and welcome to the JTrain Podcast. It's JTrain Jared Freid coming to you live from the West Village of Manhattan. That's right. Every Wednesday is a Chit Chat Wednesday where I have a friend or comedian or expert onto the show to chit chat, to chill, say what's up. Today we have, I would say, two of the three. Hopefully we become fast friends. You never know what can happen on a Chit Chat Wednesday. But a comedian and an expert in music lyrics, because they have a podcast coming out called My Favorite Lyrics. It's premiering in a couple weeks, and we want you to go subscribe and enjoy. You've seen them on SNL. Devon Walker, thank you for coming on.
What's up, man? Thank you for having me.
How are you? What's going on today? Where are you coming from? Give us, bring us into Devon Walker's life on Friday, April 18th at 10:07 a.m.
So I just came off doing a college. I just got back from Chicago.
Okay.
I did Northwestern University.
Okay, so let's bring the audience in. This is kind of, two comedians talking. When I hear I did a college, I'm like, good for you. What a pain in the ass, but good for you. You made a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, God bless these colleges, man, especially this one in particular. This college, they did a screening of the SNL movie that just came out about the 70s.
Come on.
Screening of that. I didn't even have to be at it. I didn't have to be at the screening. They were like, just come for like the last 20 minutes. And then after that, they had me do 15 minutes of stand-up. And then I did a Q&A, and that's it.
Oh, you're living the dream. That is the paycheck of all the pay. And they pay. Here's what the listeners, viewers on YouTube need to know. When you become a comedian, you're told, here are the ways to make money. And then one of the ways, they're like, listen, colleges have student activities funds. When anyone goes to college, all the people paying tuition, part of that tuition goes to this big pot of money where they want to put on non-alcoholic events. They want events that you get with the tuition. And there are people, I was never one of these people. I went to Penn State. I'm a big idiot. I was in a fraternity. The idea of going to like the hub, and going to like the comedian they hired is like, to me was like, I'm not a nerd. I'm not doing that. And now at 40, I'm like, what a nice thing they do for the kids. Like I actually, because they basically bring Devon Walker from SNL. Hey, we're going to do this nice event that gets you out on a Thursday night instead of you, if you're looking for something to do. And they pay big money. Like and it's no shit on anyone's back, because the students come for free. The school gets the money from the student. No one knows. No one's like, well, it costs how much? Everyone's happy.
Much like you, there was not a single time that I went to go see the comedian in town. I didn't even know when that was happening. I don't know where. I'm sure it was happening while I was in college. There was not a single time that I was like hitting my buddies up being like, ooh, guess what? Lil Rel's at our school this week.
No shame to Lil Rel. Good for him.
No shame to Lil Rel at all. But it just wasn't a thing that I was thinking about. Now in hindsight, like you said, I'll go see Lil Rel. That sounds like a good time. Especially, I don't know. Did you know that you wanted to do comedy when you were in college?
No, I had no idea.
I didn't. It never occurred to me.
So what people should know is you went to Texas State, which is also a school. I feel like I went to Penn State. And I went to a school which I would assume Texas State is like that gets confused for other schools.
Yeah, it gets confused with Texas State. TSU gets confused with Texas Southern University, which is also TSU, which is a HBCU in Houston that Megan Thee Stallion went to. And let me tell you, they're different places. They're not the same at all.
So is Penn and Penn State. Those are very different schools.
Very different.
So I would think also for Texas State, people would think it's like, oh, that's Texas A&M, that's Texas UT. Like I would think, because when I see the logo for Texas State, it kind of looks like a made-up school from a movie with a football team.
You know what's funny is literally in the TV show Friday Night Lights, the coach is like considering going to like a different school, like a college is recruiting him, and my college is the like fictional college that they go to.
Hilarious, right? And they're the Bobcats. Like I love a college mascot. Like and I see it, I go, I know it exists, and I think it's a big school. Like it's not like
huge. It's like 40,000 kids.
Right, and I, I'm a Northeast idiot, so I'm like, what? Like, isn't that from, the movie The Program? It kind of looks like it. So
yeah.
Okay, so you have a master's degree.
Yeah. I got a master's degree.
What do you? I mean, when comedian with a master's degree,
yeah,
that's a certain group. Like do you ever have a moment where like you're like, why the fuck did I get that thing? Or do you have other moments where you're like, thank God I got that thing? Like, when does it come in handy?
I would say in a practical sense, I would say it absolutely never comes in handy. I would say there's not a single instance in which I am like happy that I got it in like an actual practical way. It does sound cool to say though.
Absolutely.
It sounds cool to say out. You know what I'm saying? When you like, if you're dating a girl and you meet her parents, and especially when I wasn't doing well, and you know what I'm saying? Before things started to pick up, when I was still sleeping in the basement, and I'd like meet a girl's parents, and they'd be like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'd be like, "I'm a comedian." That's minus 1,000 points immediately. Immediately, They're like, this kid's not going nowhere in life. But I'm like, "Oh, actually, I got a master's degree," and they're like, "Oh, so he's got a backup plan when this doesn't work out." He's got something else to fall back on. So like, that's the coolest part. I'm literally in 6 figures of student loan debt, and that shit I don't think will ever be worth it.
It's not worth the dad of a woman you've been on 5 dates with respecting you?
Not so far. Not so far it hasn't been, no.
Well, I think about that a lot because it's like, it actually brings me to the topic that I've said that like SNL is the greatest resume item for a comedian because no one can deny it. That is pre-approved funny. That's why Northwestern, whether they know you or not, they go, oh, SNL. Like, what a cool, and your Q&A, there's immediate questions. Like, SNL's a world people have immediate curiosity about. And I was thinking you're coming on the show, and I was like, I have that with no resume item like that. I have the go to a party, people find out you're a comedian, and now it's like now I have to put on another show. Because they're not going to ask the guy about his accounting job. They're going to ask me, because there's interesting questions to ask. Does it get annoying? Does it get exhausting that like, I'll speak for myself. There's a point at a party where I go, enough about me. I feel like a dick. Like, I don't want to talk about what I do anymore. Like, and it wasn't because, and I'm like, I kind of get self-conscious because I'm like, did I come in here and be like, hey, everybody, I'm not going to shut the fuck up for an hour? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, because it's like everybody else is like working at an office. And like you said, it's like, if you got a job where you send emails, that's not Nobody's like, oh, what type of emails did you send this week? You know what I'm saying? What was you doing? What kind of spread charts was you looking? Like, nobody wants to know about that. But when you like perform for a living, I feel like people are instantly, oh, so you know what it is for me? Is it is every time people find out I'm a comedian, they always ask me if I know a more successful comedian.
Yeah,
that's one of the first thing that people are like, oh,
who's the comedian you get the most? Because I have one that I get, and it's like, I generally get the one they think is like them knowing shit. Do you know what I mean?
Who is
like
that?
The one where they think they're on the inside, like is all. For a minute was Shane Gillis. It's always the white dude telling me the white dude that they know. Shane Gillis, Mark Norman, those are the names. Yep. I can always like, I'm like, I already am like mouthing the name they're about to say to me. Like, and I can always tell who it's going to be. Who do you get? Do you get similar?
It's always in that realm. It's always in that realm. It's always a white dude, and it's always like a Rogan or a Gillis or a Mark Norman, any of those, like Tom Segura. It's always like somebody in that realm. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I met him. I've met him a couple times. He's a cool guy.
Right. Rogan has convinced his audience that they are on the inside and at the forefront of comedy. And that's like the hilarious part, because they are saying, it sounds like it's similar. Like they're saying it to us, like look, Norman and Shane have both been on this show. Like, it's like, but they do kind of like say it to you, like, wait till I blow you away with this person I know. And
wait till I hit you with this deep cut comedian you ain't never even thought. Like, I'm really on the inside track. I'm talking about stuff that like probably only us like big comedy fans know. And I'm familiar.
I'm familiar with it. Also, there are millions of fans are familiar. People are familiar. Yeah.
Am I familiar with the biggest podcast in America? Yeah, I've heard of it.
Right.
For sure.
So what's the questions you're getting at the Q&A at Northwestern? And I would assume Northwestern as a gig, you want a smarter school as a gig. Mm-hmm. I think they're a little bit more aware and maybe a little more humbled because they're around people smarter than them. I think I went to Penn State. Everyone was a cocky douchebag. Like everyone thought, and especially because Penn State was like 3 hours from Philly, 2.5 hours from Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. The bubble was thick, but Northwestern, you're close enough to Chicago to know that there's people that life is maybe hard, and you're around people who are really, really smart. So did you enjoy and also 15 minutes of show? I am so envious. That is like the gig of all gigs.
Because for the people that are listening, it's like 9 out of 10 times you're getting paid pretty good to do these colleges, but they are like, hey, like we need you to do 45, we need you to do an hour, which can be a coin flip. So I've done some colleges where I've done 45 or I've done an hour that I'm like, I'm really glad that I did that, and I've done other ones where I'm like 20 minutes in and I'm like, I wish I had a gun. I gotta get off this stage immediately.
Right, because it's not that college students are offended. They just don't know what they like yet, and they're a little bit afraid of like living out loud. Like they're like, I don't know where I stand on anything, and I don't want to be a dickhead for standing on the wrong side of history. And like they're very much aware of that. That's always been the feeling when you do a joke at a college. Not that they're like, oh, cancel him. If anything, the cancelers are like the 5 years out of college,
coordinator of the board or whatever.
Right.
Also, it's like, in my experience, like the issue with the college stuff is not that they're like too woke or like too sensitive or anything like that. The issues that I can run into sometimes in colleges is like legitimately like, I'm a man in my 30s. I'm thinking about different y'all are 19 years old. We're not thinking about the same stuff.
No.
So literally, like I have stuff right now where I'm talking about like my dad's getting old. He's like 70 something, like, and like he's getting old, thinking about how he's about to die. So like now that's impacting our relation. You know what I mean? And they're all like, no, my dad's 38.
Right, like, my dad's your age. You look like my dad. Yeah.
So that's the issue that I run into is like, oh yeah, y'all are thinking about like literal children stuff. Y'all are thinking about like where to go drink beer tonight. And I'm like, I'm like talking about how my dad's not going to be with us much longer.
You're getting existential. Like, where does dad's soul go? And they're like, what? When you talk about chicks, Yeah.
Yes. So that literally, I was performing at this school. I was doing Northwestern, and I was looking out, and some of the kids looked so young. And I was like, "Hey, just yell out like, what year were some of y'all born?" And one of the kids, I kid you not, one of the kids goes 2006, and I was like, "Fuck you, fuck you! You're born in 2006. I almost had my driver's license in 2006. Don't say that to me."
Yeah, and I'm sitting here. I'm a junior in college and thinking I'm the oldest elder who gets it all. Like I'm getting self-conscious thinking about me in 2006. Like just the confidence I had, the thoughts. And while not knowing what the hell I was going to do with my life, like, you said, like in college, I wasn't thinking about comedy. I was like, no, I'll just be the president of business. You know? Like,
it really was that. I mean, that's why I went to grad school. I was like, all right, well, if I get the most education possible, then I'll like probably be a CEO. But like, I didn't know. I didn't have no fucking plan.
It would take one person to go, CEO of what? And you're like, and you start crying. You're like, you don't even know what to say.
Like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing open mics. Actually, one question. And you're like, I can't. I'm not doing this no more.
So what were the questions they got at Northwestern? Yeah. I'm curious what they're asking about SNL or your life. What are they asking about? Like, does it sound like they're trying to like figure out their own life via your answers?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I feel like when you do these schools, one of the people who are running it is like one of the kids who are running it is like an aspiring comedian,
right?
And so in this instance,
like 9 out of 10 times, yeah,
9 out of 10 times, it's like a boy or a girl who's like, yeah, so like I'm the head of the stand-up comedy club, like on the university campus or whatever. And so the girl who was doing the Q&A, she's been like doing open mics around town, and I feel like a lot of the questions were like, how do you get there? Like, how do you get from so like, tough. Which in like, it's like anything in this industry where it's like, there's 1,000 a bunch of people end up in the same place. Even like at SNL, there's a bunch of people I work with on the cast who have incredibly different stories, who have like entirely different stories for how they got there to how I got there. So there's no real like answer. I could tell you the way that it happened for me, but that's the big thing. It's
the hard part because you have to be realistic with them while also letting people have their own dreams, and it's funny to think like what you're saying, like everyone around you has their own road. Like I'm at the Comedy Cellar last night. I'm sitting at a table with everyone doing different things and the same thing at the same time. Like, we're all just trying to be funny for money. If you really break it down, like we want to be funny for a career. Now, are you doing something you like doing? Are you doing something you created? Are you doing something that like someone brought you into? That all happens along the way. And it's like, the only, like if someone was saying to me, I would be like, the only thing you can do wrong in comedy is faking it. Like, like, cause I'm sure you had this at open mics. You'd have those people that like were, not doing the open mic with their full honest effort. Like, they're like doing the same joke that they know that works already, or they, they're just not doing it honestly. And you wouldn't call them a liar. You'd just be like, you have to like do the work. You got to come here with something written. I have to like, and that's when people go, I know them. Oh, they're great. Bring them into things. That's when the collaboration happens.
Or like, I don't know if you would have this, but like, I feel like I came up in Austin. That's where I'm from. And I remember there were guys who like wouldn't take Mike seriously. They'd just be kind of fucking around the whole time. And they'd be king of the mic. They'd be like talking about like local scene shit. They'd be destroying at the mic. But then as soon as it was time to do like 10 minutes of like jokes, they could never do it. I feel like that was really a type of guy.
Absolutely. That was like a big like Brooklyn thing because people were so self-conscious about how cool Brooklyn people were. And if you went into like, I remember going to Brooklyn and going to Queens, the Creek and the Cave when it was like the thing. I would talk about dating and people would look at me like, what the fuck? What
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, I this is what I want to talk about. Like, I like talking about dating. It interests me, and it's like, but you have to like really put aside this, like, the insecurities. And that's why those people, they don't want to bomb. No one wants to bomb,
but it's coming.
You have to, right? We are sponsored. You can't buy a ticket to Vegas every weekend, so why not just have Vegas in your pocket? MyBookie's live casino is where all the fun happens. Whether you're into baccarat, roulette, or blackjack, you've got dealers, real cards, and it's all happening live. I love what MyBookie's doing for people. You can have a moment to take your brain and put it on the shelf and play some baccarat, play some blackjack while just hanging around the house. You want 15 minutes? Well, take $5, put it on MyBookie, and play some blackjack. That's fun. That's a great way to get away from kind of what's going on in your everyday, make a Wednesday a little bit more fun. So whether you just want to sneak away and place a bet during a family dinner or make a whole casino night out of it, MyBookie has what you need to have a good time. Sign up now with code JTrain, and you can boost your bankroll with a deposit bonus designed to help you make the most of your money. If you don't want a bonus, that's okay too. Just make sure you let them know that we sent you. That's code JTrain when you download the MyBookie app or click the link in our show notes. Bet on every game, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
I feel like that is the purest thing about our industry. Is like, I remember one time I was like a year into comedy. I went to LA. I was like, oh, I'm gonna like drop by the store. Like I was like, bought a ticket. I was like, I'm gonna sit in the audience and like watch a show at the store. And I remember Rock dropped in, and one of my favorite comedians all the time, like really somebody I like grew up on and inspired me.
Chris Rock, not The Rock. We sometimes, this isn't really an inside comedy baseball podcast. We have a lot of people that came here via dating advice, so I want to make sure people know it's Chris Rock, not The Rock. Okay, yeah, and
that's true.
Not Kid Rock. This is Chris
no.
Rock. Okay.
Although it would have been tight to see Kid Rock do stand up. I'm curious about. Well, I feel like I do know what he'd be talking about.
I have a feeling I know too, but
yeah. But yeah, I remember he dropped in and he did maybe like 40 or something, and I remember seeing it, and it just like it wasn't there yet. And like later on, like a year or two later, like I watched it in a special and it was really good. Right. But I feel like seeing a master like that, who's probably 25 years into doing it, have a set that like hadn't been figured out yet. I was like, oh, this is forever. Like you never like, no matter how good you get at this, like it's never like over. The next bomb is always like right around the corner.
I was just talking about this. I do a Patreon episode, which becomes like every week I do like a diary from the week before. And I was talking about, I went and met, I just did Nashville. They did a comedy festival. I did a show, a part of it. And I met Yakov Smirnoff. And I was like, holy shit, I want to meet Yakov Smirnoff. Like, you're meeting history. You're meeting. And I was like thinking, and I was saying that like I treat comics like it's like a religion to me. Like, like I'm like, I have something in common with people. And I can tell when they do stand up versus when they say they do stand up. And it's something like that where like you watch Chris Rock and it's like, it's the most humbling thing in the world. This is like one of the most famous people alive. And he's like eating it a little, but also you're watching going, cool. Okay. He's going there. He's doing this. Like, and there's a connection there. Like I had someone recently tell me, and they weren't really doing stand-up, but were telling people they're a stand-up, and like, it hit me in my core, and I couldn't say it. You don't want to be a hater. You don't want to be. I don't want to be miserable Jared. Like I want to be. But it really made me upset because I'm like, what the fuck am I? You think you do have a moment where you're like, you think you're better than me? I have to go work on this one sentence I'm trying to get right.
Yeah. It's also like, I don't know, if you're going to make up being something, then it's like, you could say you like play for the Yankees. Right. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to lie about like an aspect of what your life is and make your life sound cooler than it is, it's like, there's levels. You could say you're like a rock and roll artist. Like there's cooler shit you could say you're doing than like open mics.
Play the guitar. Just say I play the guitar and you're immediately cooler than a stand-up comedian.
instantly. So it's just like anybody out there who wants to lie, just know, like, lie high. Don't be down here with your lies. Like, look, come on, elevate your lies.
So the podcast is called My Favorite Lyrics. We want everyone to go subscribe, make it part of your podcast library. I always say it. Podcasts are meant to take your brain, put it on the shelf, let Devon Walker take the wheel, let whoever he has as a guest on take the wheel of your brain and get you away from your own anxieties and issues or whatever it may be. Devon lost a headphone, but I wanted to ask you.
Got it.
So the podcast is, it literally is about lyrics that live rent-free in your head.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No, please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's true. That's correct.
So if it starts at that, I was wondering, what is the lyric that made you start the podcast? There had to have been one that you were like, oh, this is the one that I like would reference if I'm to talk to someone.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those. I think one of the ones that comes to my head just like right off top is there's a 2 Chainz lyric where he says, "Rest in peace to all the soldiers who died in the service. I dive in her cervix."
I dive in her service.
Cervix.
Cervix.
Yes.
What a lyric. I mean, like,
exactly.
I mean, it takes something that is like, you have really gone from one side of the spectrum to the other at that point, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. I mean, there's an Eminem bar where he said, Eminem has a lot of them. I might just do a whole Eminem episode one week, but Eminem has a line where he said, "Hey, you ever heard of Chris Christopherson? Well, me, I'm pissed Offerson."
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's just a thing he said earnestly. That's a thing he wrote down earnestly, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill him with this. I'm gonna say this, and I could tell as soon as I say that, they about to go nuts."
It is so funny. First of all, that line was just sitting there for anyone to take. Anyone could have had piss right Offerson. That's like a joke you see someone do that's like anyone could have done it, and you're like, they're killing it. I think I saw Mulaney. He was doing a joke about like The Exorcist, and it's like that movie's like 100,000 years old, and
that's right.
That perspective was just waiting for someone to, like you said, on the shelf. I love that. But piss Offerson. While it's hilarious to me, it's also like if he ever said that in an actual fight, like everyone would die laughing. Everyone would be like, "Who is this guy? This guy thinks he's tough." But when it's rapped, it's like, "Oh shit," like
rap music. You can get away with saying some of the goofiest shit of all time if you say it the right way. And that's the thing that's really beautiful about rap music. The right messenger can get away with saying anything.
I believe that about comedians too. Don't you think? Like when people say like, absolutely. "Oh, people are so offended," you're like, "No, there's no offense."
You didn't say it right.
Right. You didn't say it. It was the deliverer. It was the delivery. It was the, how did they set up the room? Like, no, I that is an interesting, like it's so hard to tell people that too. Like nothing disappoints someone more than saying nobody's offended.
Yeah, because it's like that's not the problem. Because right. I think those people really do know that's not the problem. And either like you can't say anything anymore, guys. I'm like, no, you can say literally whatever you want, but like you're not saying it in a way that pleases the audience, and now you're mad at them because like you're not working on your craft. You're being lazy, and you took the shortest route to like say something offensive instead of saying like fully thinking it out. Legitimately, I think we can all talk about whatever we want, but like as a comedian, it's like certain shit is more sensitive. So like if you don't handle it with care, then you gonna break some shit, and then people are gonna come back looking at you crazy. And that if you're really good at it, if you really know what you're doing, you know that.
Absolutely, so and you want to handle with care. You want to pull off the feet, like that is part of the fun of it is like, can I do the triple backflip off the high tower? Like, can I get the 10 out of 10 from the toughest critic and judge? That's a lot of the goal. Right,
we've all seen like people who are really good at it, like walk a tightrope and then like stick the landing perfectly, and you're just like, well, I didn't know where it was gonna go when you started it, but like it's like the gymnast. It's like the gymnast when they like run on the thing and they do all those flips and they land, and it's like it's very that.
Absolutely. Okay, so you said you started in Austin. You started in Austin. Yeah. Austin's changed since you've been there.
In a crazy way, yeah.
It's so. Did you see it changing? I guess Rogan moving there, bringing like a cruise ship, so to speak, of comedians and industry and podcast fans. Like I went and I did shows at Cap City, which used to be the club in Austin.
That's my home club.
So Cap City. I never been to the old one. I was at the new one. That's 20 minutes north of the city, and you're not really in Austin. What it felt like. I'm sure you've been there, but it felt like I was in like Disney Austin. Like it felt like it was like Epcot Center version of Austin.
Well, also where they put the club now is in this like luxury shopping center called the Domain, which is like the old Cap City. I'm sorry for like talking about a local comedy club on your podcast, but
I brought it up.
True. The old Cap was neat. It was in that same area, but it was just in like this shitty strip mall. You know the way a comedy club is supposed to be. It's supposed to be next to like a used car lot or something like that's and that's literally, it was like a used car lot and like a karate studio. Like that's where a comedy club's supposed to. Yeah, and now it's literally next to like a Tesla dealership and like a Gucci store.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I call it the Epcot Center of Austin, because it's like they even have like the bars from Austin that people went to when they were younger, like versions of it. Like it's like very much Nerf, it's like a safe area to go out, which I get it. You get the sitter, you and your husband or wife go out to the comedy club, you go to this night. I can understand it. So when I got done with the show, I went down to the mothership to like, see it. I just never seen it. And I've been going to Austin for years, and outside is like 10 security guards with huge guns.
Yeah, they're all like MMA fighters. They're all
huge. Yes.
They all have like cauliflower ear and like Glocks.
I was outside. Like, hey, I'm a comedian from New York. Can I just check out the club? They're like, we're closed, sir. And I was like, okay, and I walked away, and I was like, fine, I'm not gonna like sit here and be like, do you know who I am? And they're like, nobody. I'm not gonna embarrass myself any further. But you were there, kind of like, it sounds like before that was going on, and kind of seen the transition, so to speak. What was it like before, and what have you noticed since?
I was in New York, so I moved to New York in 2018. Right. And the big shift in Austin happened over the pandemic, like 2020, 2021.
That's fair.
And so
that's true.
When I was there before, it was a really, really cool scene because it was like small. It was everybody knew each other. It was really like a local comedy. So where did you start? Did you start here?
I started here in New York, which is a different beast on its own. I
respect anybody who starts here.
I would have. There's pros and cons to both. I feel for someone who moves here later than they should have, because you can tell they have to like start over in a way they never wanted to, and it's an exhausting thing to like go back to open mics when you're used to getting paid for shows.
I've also told my buddies this. It's like you got to move here by the time you're like 28. Because once you start getting into once you're 31, 32, and you're used to a certain type of life, like you said, it's really hard to like grind it out. Like I moved here when I was 26, 27.
Yeah.
And I feel like moving here at that age was like, it was the last year that I was really down to do what you got to do to like get incorporated in like a new scene.
It's funny you said that. I started when I was 25, and I already felt old. I already felt older than the people who were getting it, leaving college and being like, I'm a comedian, or
kids who are like in college, who are like at NYU or whatever, who were 19 who are already going. You're 25, 26, feeling like you're feeling like you're feeling like a grizzled vet, and you're like now you look at a 25-year-old and like that's a baby, that's a child.
Right, Pete Davidson driving me in his car from New York Comedy Club to Greenwich Village Comedy Club, and like, and I'm like, oh, this guy's like 18 years old. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, I could be his older brother, and then he's on SNL
like a year after that. Crazy,
right? A year later, and he's like the most famous person alive at a certain point. So it's all weird, and no, I totally agree. Okay, but before we go, we got to get going. Everyone go subscribe to Devon's podcast. Go follow Devon on social media. All the links are going to be in the description of this episode, both on YouTube and all the podcast apps. And it's called My Favorite Lyrics. Is there something out there now that they can subscribe to? Because it comes out on the 29th of April. I know that.
Yes. When is this going to come out?
This will come out Wednesday of next week. So
there will be something by then.
So go to Devon's socials, subscribe to the podcast, My Favorite Lyrics. He's got great guests coming on to talk about lyrics from all your favorite albums. Let's do a Peaks and Pit. Okay, do you know Peaks and Pit?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, actually, I want to do this thing. I love complaining, okay? I love to complain. Yeah. I love luxury complaints. I like complaints that you could never really complain about without someone like knowing you.
Yeah.
So this is called Complain With Me. I will complain with anything. I will agree with any complaint you have. Do you have a complaint that you could never? I will agree with you.
Man, it's not to be a comedian that's talking about airport stuff, but truly my biggest complaint in the world is like the biggest thing that I did with my money when I started being on TV was I started buying seats at the front of the plane. I started getting this as close to the front of the plane as I absolutely can because I want to be able to get off first. Hey, if you're in, I'm in group 1, all right? If you're in group 9, don't be standing by the gate when it's group 1 time. That's not, you need to go sit down. And you know it's not your time. Because I know I was a group 9 member for many years. That's where I come from. That's my home. I did my time in group 9. And that's why I don't feel bad about being in group 1 now. But I'm like, when I was in group 9, I used to wait in the back. So it was my time. Don't sit down. Just go. You know it's not for you.
Here's the real issue I have with the group 9 people rushing to the front or waiting in the front. There's no payoff. They're doing it for no reason whatsoever. You're gonna get on the plane. You're not getting your bag above your seat. It's not going to happen. You're going to check that.
You're going to check that bag. On it, put it under the plane.
You will win nothing from this. The only thing you do by doing this is wasting your own energy. And you're getting on a plane that's uncomfortable earlier than you have to. Why don't you sit out here, put your feet up, hang out, and wait for us elites to get on the plane. And you can get on last and spend as little. Wouldn't you want to spend as little time on this plane as possible if you were sitting in the back of the plane? I would.
That's my thing.
Right.
I don't want to be on the plane. I don't like being on there at all. I'm trying to be in and out as quick as possible. Also, when the plane first lands, when the plane first touches down, everybody don't got to stand up. It's like, we're not even at the gate yet. Why is everybody up and y'all standing in the aisle? Like, it's not your time. Get up when it's your time, bro.
Nothing makes me happier than when I'm sitting aisle and there's someone next to me who likes getting up right away. And the plane gets to the gate and I just put my feet up. And I'm just like, we got 20 minutes, buddy. Chill.
You got some hater. You got some hater in your spirit. I can tell. And I like that about you.
All of it.
I like it. I got that same type of spite.
Everyone go follow Devon Walker. Everyone go listen to the new podcast. It is called My Favorite Lyrics. Go, go, go. I'm Jared Freid. Back next week. Boom.